Ahoy, mates! Captain Cloud here, welcoming you aboard Pirates of the Sky. In this voyage, we follow United States Coast Guard aviation crews as they answer distress calls across the Pacific Northwest and the Hawaiian Islands. Rescue mariners from capsized and sinking vessels carry an injured teenager to medical care and survey storm damage in Guam. These missions demand steady hands, sharp judgment, and crews trained to work together when the sea and weather leave no room for error. So secure the deck, keep a weather eye on the horizon, and let us watch these Coast Guard air crews go to work. On July 3rd, offshore Oahu, two men found themselves in the water after their 12-foot fishing vessel capsized. Their personal locator beacon sent the call for help, and Coast Guard watchstanders quickly put a rescue in motion. An MH-65 Dolphin crew from Air Station Barbers Point arrived overhead and lowered the rescue basket through the rotor wash. One by one, the two men were lifted from the sea and brought safely aboard. A small beacon, a trained air crew, and precise hoist work turned a dangerous day on the water into a successful rescue. From a rescue basket above the waters of Oahu, we now turn west toward Guam. Here, the Coast Guard mission shifts from saving lives at sea to surveying the damage left behind by a powerful typhoon. On July 7th, a Coast Guard C-130 Hercules crew flew above the Port of Guam following Super Typhoon Bavi. Below, the aircrew surveyed Opera Harbor, its shoreline, breakwaters, and port facilities for signs of storm damage. From this altitude, the crew could document conditions across a wide area and give officials the information needed to determine when marine traffic could safely resume. The Hercules is built for long-range work. Its endurance allows Coast Guard crews to examine ports, coastlines, and surrounding waters for long periods. There may be no rescue basket in this scene, mates, but this mission still protects lives. A careful view from above helps teams ashore identify hazards, coordinate recovery, and move Guam's vital port closer to reopening. From the storm-swept Port of Guam, we now steer north to the rugged coast of Washington. There, an MH-65 crew answers a medical emergency at remote Shi Shi Beach, where reaching the patient from the air is the fastest course to care. On July 10th, an MH-65 Dolphin crew from Coast Guard Air Station Port Angeles responded to a medical emergency at Shi Shi Beach in Olympic National Park. The patient was a 15-year-old male on a remote section of Washington's rugged coastline. With no suitable place for the helicopter to land, the crew prepared to conduct a hoist directly from the beach. The pilots brought the Dolphin into a steady hover, while the flight mechanic watched the terrain below and guided the aircraft into position. The rescue swimmer was then lowered from the cabin toward the sand. Every member of the aircrew has a specific duty during a hoist. The pilots maintain the hover, the flight mechanic controls the cable, and the rescue swimmer reaches the patient and prepares them for evacuation. Clear communication between all three positions is essential. After reaching the beach, the rescue swimmer moved to the patient and began preparing him for the lift. Above them, the helicopter remained in position as rotor wash swept across the shoreline. The rescue basket was lowered from the aircraft and carefully guided toward the beach. Once it reached the ground, the swimmer helped place the young patient inside and made certain he was secure. The signal was given, and the flight mechanic began raising the basket. Slowly, the patient was lifted away from the beach and toward the open cabin of the MH-65. The hoist continued until the basket reached the helicopter and the patient was safely brought aboard. The crew then lowered the cable once again to recover the rescue swimmer from the beach. With everyone aboard, the Dolphin departed the coastline and carried the patient to Air Station Port Angeles. Emergency medical services were waiting there to continue his care. On a remote shore where ground access can take valuable time, Coast Guard Aviation provides another route. Through training, teamwork, and careful aircraft control, this crew carried a young patient from an isolated beach to waiting medical professionals. From Washington's rugged shoreline, we return to the waters of Hawaii. Offshore Kauai, an MH-65 crew races toward a sinking catamaran where one mariner is waiting for rescue above a quickly disappearing deck. On July 12th, darkness covered the waters offshore Kauai as a mariner faced a rapidly worsening situation aboard a sinking catamaran. A Coast Guard MH-65 Dolphin crew from Air Station Barbers Point launched toward the scene. Above the search area, a Coast Guard C-130 remained overhead, providing a broad view of the vessel, the surrounding water, and the aircraft moving in for the rescue. The C-130 can remain on scene for extended periods, using its sensors and crew to help locate people and vessels at night. From high above, that aircrew helps maintain the larger picture, while the helicopter crew closes in to perform the hoist. Seen through the aircraft's night and infrared systems, the catamaran appears as a small shape surrounded by black water. The man aboard has little room and even less time as the vessel settles lower into the sea. The MH-65 moves into position. Inside the helicopter, every crew member has a job. The pilots hold a controlled hover, the flight mechanic manages the hoist cable, and the rescue swimmer prepares to go down into the darkness. Rotor wash strikes the water below as the swimmer is lowered from the cabin. At night, judging height, waves, and movement becomes even more demanding. The crew must rely on training, clear communication, and constant corrections to keep the cable safely positioned. The rescue swimmer reaches the mariner and begins preparing him for the lift. Above them, the Dolphin remains steady while the C-130 continues watching from overhead. With the man secured, the hoist begins. The cable rises slowly, drawing him away from the sinking catamaran and toward the helicopter. The flight mechanic guides him past the aircraft and into the open cabin where the crew can bring him fully aboard. The hoist line then returns for the rescue swimmer. Even after the survivor is safe inside, the mission is not finished until the swimmer is recovered and every member of the crew is accounted for. The mariner is brought into the helicopter, followed by the swimmer, and the MH-65 clears the scene. Behind them, the damaged catamaran is left to the sea, but the man who had been standing on it is now safely in Coast Guard hands. The crew transported him to Lihue Airport, where emergency medical personnel evaluated him and found no medical concerns. This rescue shows how Coast Guard aircraft work together. The C-130 brings endurance, sensors, and a commanding view of the search area. The MH-65 brings the precision needed to hover, lower a swimmer, and lift a survivor from danger. Different aircraft, one mission, and one mariner carried safely out of the night. That, mates, is Coast Guard Aviation doing exactly what it trains to do. From one catamaran rescue off Kauai, we now return to the waters north of Oahu. There, two men cling near their capsized vessel as a Coast Guard C-130 and an MH-65 team up to find them and bring them home. On July 14th, two men were left in the water after their 10-foot catamaran capsized 11.5 miles off Halewa. A Coast Guard C-130 located them beside the overturned vessel, and an MH-65 Dolphin moved in for the hoist. Through the rotor wash, the rescue basket was lowered, and the men were lifted from the Pacific one at a time. Both survivors were brought safely ashore to Air Station Barbers Point. A fine finish, mates, to a rescue built on teamwork above the waves. From remote beaches to storm-damaged ports and dark Pacific waters, these crews showed what Coast Guard Aviation is built to do. I'm Captain Cloud, and this has been Pirates of the Sky. Until our next voyage, keep a weather eye on the horizon, and fair winds to the men and women who answer the call.